Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Kokoku Episode 1. I've decided to review this weekly along with Mitsuboshi Colors and Citrus. I'm doing the first two episodes of each of those together in one video, but I'm doing Episode 1 and 2 for this separately because I actually wanted to review this first before even watching Episode 2, so I purposefully put off watching that until after reviewing this. I'm planning to get reviews catching up to all three of those, so I guess that's 3 episodes worth of reviews for each. Planning to get them all out this week and be caught up by this weekend. So it shouldn't take me that long, really. I'm really excited to be doing Kokoku, though. I think that this was one of the more creative shows. It was definitely one of the more memorable premieres for me out of all the 19 shows I watched the premieres for this season. This one was creative, and I really enjoyed it, but I'll talk about it a bit part by part so I can try to stay a little organized in my thoughts. So let's start off with the opening. I know it's not at the very beginning of the episode or anything, but the opening I thought was incredible, is incredible. It's a legitimately good song, not a good for an anime opening song. It doesn't need that qualifier on it, it's just an actually good song. And the animation paired with it's really creative. I know the first time I saw it I was like, okay, it's been a good while. There were a ton of openings I loved last year, but I felt like it had been a good bit of a while since I saw an opening that I would call that creative. It was a really creative one. But getting into the story, we start off getting introduced to the main characters, kind of. So we learn about Juri, who is a woman in her early 20s. I believe she's just out of college, and she's looking for work, looking for a job, but can't manage to get one. She lives with a huge amount of her family. She lives with her retired grandpa, her dad, who's just recently been laid off of work, her neat brother, her mom, who I think works to support them, her sister, who had a kid at a young age and then moved back in. And I believe the sister works as well at like a supermarket or something, and her nephew, who is in preschool, I believe, and I think I remember his name at least. I'm pretty sure the nephew is Makoto. It's gonna take a while to get used to names. It always is that way, especially since I didn't take notes as I was watching the episode. I'm just speaking from memory here mostly. I took some notes afterward, but this is just from memory really. But it's kind of an unstable home situation, but I think it was handled quite well because there's always the risk they ran. They could have made things very insulting and stereotypical, I guess, with that kind of setup, with the whole laid-off dad, neat brother, sister who had a kid at a young age. Each of those characters could have been super stereotyped, but I think that, at least so far, they were handled pretty well in the first episode. So the brother goes to pick up Makoto from preschool or whatever, and he gets beaten and kidnapped, and so does Makoto, and they're held for ransom. I kept trying to put together hostage and ransom. They're held ransom, and basically Juri, the father and grandfather, are all trying to figure out what the hell to do. So they get the money from the grandfather's savings, and they then realize, oh wait, mom has the car, damn it. So with that obstacle in their way, the grandpa finally says, hang on guys, I got a magic spell that can freeze time. So he uses a magic rock to freeze time because, okay. And if there's one negative I would say about this whole episode, which I loved the whole episode, the only negative I'd give it is when they were first showing off all the freezing stuff, they showed like a bunch of random things, like I think a bicycle, or I don't remember if it was a butterfly or a bee, but they showed it from a bunch of different angles, and that was maybe a little bit cheesy, where they were like, oh, look at all this stuff, it's time, it's frozen, and that was maybe a little bit overdone, a little bit cheesy, but that would be the only even just slight negative I have. But the grandpa warns them that corrupt acts kind of trap people here or causes this world to swallow them up, because of course the temptation's pretty great to do some not so great things with the power to freeze time. So then they go and they find the kidnappers, and the kidnappers don't seem professional or organized in any sort of way. They seem very much unorganized. Then they start to feel this presence when Juri goes to kill one of the kidnappers, and the grandpa stops her like, do not do that, not at all. And she can tell that there's some sort of presence there with them. Well, then these guys show up, and they're kind of in these weird uniforms. To me, they looked kind of like convenience store worker or gas station type uniforms. But these guys show up and beat the holy hell out of them. Just nail the father over the head, hit Juri in the head, I believe, as well. So the grandpa can teleport, and he tries to teleport out of there with Juri, but one of the guys with a knife threatens to cut up Makoto, and then this big demon thingy shows up behind him. I believe they called it a herald, which is cool. And what was it? Oh yeah, there was this one leader guy that seemed to be in charge of all the people in the uniforms, and the leader guy seemed really calm and aloof to all that was happening. So he'll be an interesting character, and I feel like maybe the antagonist here, but who knows so far? And I think that's one of the good things about it, is who knows. It was really mysterious. It gives you a lot to think about. And then we have the ending. Oh man, the ending at the end. It is fan servicey. I wasn't expecting it with the tone of the show. The show didn't seem like a fan servicey show at all. But yeah, I don't mind. It made me think Juri was hot when I didn't think that at all during the show, but then the ending happened and I'm like, oh yes, yes please. But yeah, I loved the creativity of it all. I thought it was a really, really good episode. It was really unique. I can't, sure there are other shows with similar concepts like Freezing Time and all that, but I don't know, something about it, especially this season compared to all the other shows, not just in its story, but in its production quality, it seemed very different and unique compared to other shows going on. But yeah, I loved all that. I loved the mystery of it most of all. I say that about a lot of shows. When we're not just told everything and explain, everything isn't just explained right off the bat. I enjoy when we get to think about it, and a lot of the aspects of the universe are kept a mystery. It also gives the writers a bit of leeway with what they can do. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons to enjoy a bit of mystery to your setting. And yeah, one thing I found very interesting, for it to be so good and for me to be so interested in it, I looked at the production staff for this, and basically all the animators, directors, supervisors, all that I saw, they're either A, completely new, basically have never worked on a show before, or maybe have only worked on one or two, or B, they haven't worked on a show since the 80s or something, and they haven't done anything since then. They just worked on some old shows. So it was really weird me looking up the production staff, and I think the studio, I think it's called Studio Gino, is that it? But I think this might be their first anime too. Their first full-length anime. I think they did a movie before this last year. But yeah, it's quite odd that this comes from a completely new staff. So that makes me even more interested in where it will go, because of just because it has that sort of behind the show itself, not really to do with the story. But another good thing about it, when I looked it up, I looked up the source material. The source material of the manga is actually finished, so this should mean that we get the story itself, the whole story in this show. I don't know if it'll be more than one season. I doubt it will. It'll probably just be a one-season thing. But it makes me happy that it's not to a point where we're going to get part of the story and then never do a second season, so we never finish the story. I'm pretty confident that we'll get all of the story in one season, which I think is definitely a positive, because it gets to be a complete encapsulated thing. We don't have to wait for a season 2 that'll never come, I'm sure many of you that watch a lot of anime are kind of used to at this point. But yeah, either way, score as a whole, I'd give it 8.5 kidnappings out of 10. It was really, really good, really creative. I mean, to me, nothing this season has had that special spark, that special something that a few shows last season had, like Shoujo Shumatsu Ryoko, or Hoseki no Kuni especially was so creative. And one of my personal favorites, Children of the Whales. Nothing this season so far to me, and I've been watching episode 2 and episode 3 of the shows I'm not reviewing and stuff. nothing's really had that spark to that extent to me. But if anything comes close, there are a few. I mean, nothing just really has that spark to me. This show, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's going to be really good, and at least it's going to be very entertaining, even if it doesn't keep up this quality, but I'm excited for it. I think it has a ton of potential. Yeah, guess that's it though, 8.5. Like if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this episode, what you thought of my thoughts on it. I'll get episode 2 up as soon as I can, then I'll get episode 3 up as soon as I can after that. So yeah, subscribe for more of this, plus more Mitsubishi Colors and Citrus, bunch of other shows on the channel. A lot of things other than anime as well. So any of that, sub if you want, follow on Twitter if you want. I'll try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server, just ask and I'll give you one. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.